And what's up, Utah? Welcome back to We Are the People. It's your host, Jason Preston, and pretty dang exciting. As you saw yesterday, hopefully you saw the show yesterday, We Are the People has completely changed. We are no longer just Alexi and I's podcast. We are now changing into a network, and we want to welcome you on to the next show, which is one I've been honestly really excited about. You've seen that we have the Black Robe Regiment on Sunday, which is really a show encouraging the churches, the pastors, and bishops and people of faith to stand up and start fighting for this country. And today, one that I'm very excited about, one of the ones I'm most excited about is this show because, you know, one of the things every leader, spiritual leader, tyrant knows, if you gain the influence of the youth, you own the country. They know the importance of the youth because the youth shape culture, and culture is down, and politics are downstream from culture. And right now we're seeing a counterculture movement across the country. These young Gen Zs, these young kids are like fed up with this propaganda, the woke ideology that's been pushed down their throats. And so I've been really looking for the right person to lead a podcast focused on the youth. And this is someone who I've spent some significant time with in the last several months. And I'm excited to bring him on. So, folks, I want to introduce you to Trey Valdez. Trey Valdez, what's up?
What's up, man? I'm stoked to be here. Thanks for having me. Yeah,
dude, I'm pretty excited to have you. We're going to talk a little about your background because he's the perfect witness. You're the perfect, blend of understanding the political sphere in this state of Utah, and also tied to culture. You're young. You're with it. I think you're a perfect fit for what we're looking for here. So, very pumped to have you.
No, I'm super excited. And like before December, I never would have thought I would be involved in political things in any way, shape, or form. Never really crossed my mind. And as over the last, 6 or 7 months went by with this last election cycle, I was able to see a lot of youth and a lot of people that have no idea what's going on. They have concerns. They see what's going on in the media, but they're not getting real information. They don't know where to go to get real information. So that's why when you approached me about this show, I was super excited to jump in and show how people can get involved and that they're not alone. There's a lot of people that feel the same way that they feel. They're not ostracized if they don't want to be in the left culture. Yeah. Or the woke culture. There's a place for them here. So yeah, thanks for providing a platform for this.
Yeah, so we're going to jump into it. We're going to talk about his past. We're going to talk about some awesome stuff he did when I got to know him. He's working for running a campaign. But first, make sure, please, go to our website. We're going to pull it up here on the screen. It's going to be completely redone. Obviously, you see the 7 shows, and that will grow. The reason I want you to go to our site is you can click on, if you want to go to this show from Trey, you can click on Culture Wars, and you'll be able to see all the shows Trey does right there. If you want to go to any of the shows, go to the website, click there, and you can see all the shows from that particular host. And this show is brought to you, and again, you can go to our website, wearethepeople.org. This show is brought to you by Mecca.fitness, which is actually Trey's company. Trey, yes, so tell us real quick about that company, and then let's freaking go.
Well, I feel like when I was young, I really wanted to make a lot of money, and I was so focused on that. And I was out of shape, and I really wanted to be in shape. And so I was like, okay, my priorities are maybe in the wrong places. And I went through this weird evaluation of what was actually important to me. And I started diving into my health, then figuring out how to make healthy food. And I did. And I went from like 30% body fat to like 12% body fat. Like literally I'm in Costco, I think even still like with the Nordic Track Proform treadmills ads, still there. Like literally 6 months went by and I was doing like these fitness ads, and people saw that and they're like, hey, can you make food for me too? And so I started making food for people. And before I knew it, I had like 50 customers. I'm like, oh, there's a business here where I can actually help people. So over like the last 4 years, I've been diving into how to make good quality meals that could scale a company and actually provide the health benefit that people need. So if you want your custom macros, meals shipped to your doorstep, Mecca.fitness.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, like, as far as, you know, I know we got a lot of people who work out that watch this, but, and they know it. I mean, it's like, I've worked out literally, you know, most of my life ever since I was in high school. Getting the gains.
Dang, dude.
But here's what I do know is, like, my work ethic at the gym never changes. Like, I like when I go to the gym, it's beast mode. Like, that's one thing about me is I'm all in. So when I go to the gym, that's never changed. But what makes the difference for me is my diet. Like, whether I'm trying to bulk or whether I'm trying to cut, it's all diet. So I'm a big believer in eating right for whatever your goals are. So anyways, tell us, okay, so I met him. He was running Jason Walton's campaign. You're a young guy. That kind of caught me off guard. But I love seeing young people in the fight because, again, it's the youth. I think, again, it's the youth. It's the youth that are going to take this country back. It's the young men particularly that have that role. So I want to hear about you getting involved with Jason Walton's campaign. But first, how did you get involved in politics? Like, what was it that got you concerned or start paying attention?
Well, just seeing what the current tide of the country was going was really shocking. And I'm not even going to say I'm a huge Trumper. Like, even I started selling these Trump shirts and my wife is like, why are you doing that? You're not even
so when is this? When
So I started selling this Trump shirts like just barely, like a few months ago. And she was like shocked about it but I was like, this is the best option. Like, this is the guy. But before that, I just kind of saw the tide of the country. Then it was Jason Walton. So I worked with Jason for like a decade and he just kind of saw the stuff that I could do. We'd worked together, had a good relationship. And it was like in December, he was like, hey, I'm thinking about running for U.S. Senator. And I started laughing. And I was like, why would you do that? Like, why would you want that on your family? Like, I didn't really understand his motives behind it. And then he like just went into it for probably an hour and a half saying all of the things he believed in and where the country was going. And it really resonated with me. And I was just told him that's something I wanted to be a part of. I'm like, I don't know what you need. We weren't going to be working together anymore, but I'm like, hey, if you need help with that sounds awesome. Just let me know. And he's like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. Don't tell anybody. I don't know what I'm going to do. Fast forward a month, January hits. He reaches out to me and he's like, hey, I'm going to do this. Do you want to help me run my campaign? And I was like, I don't know why you're asking me to do that. I'm like, what do you mean run your campaign? Like, and he's like, yeah, just come in and help run all of it.
That's crazy.
And like, he didn't even say like, hey, do you want to be like my campaign manager? He just said like, so I didn't even know what my title was. And then he just started introducing me as his campaign manager. And I was like, okay, well, great. And we just kind of took off from there. We were lucky. It's not like I was doing everything myself with zero experience. We had some great strategists and a really good team already set up. But me coming from a business background, it came with a different perspective than people that had been in politics. And that actually launched me into some more stuff that I'm doing with politics now and helping other people that are running. But what I was able to see while I was running is there's no young people almost at all involved that even know what's going on. Like, fast forward to when the election happened, the primaries, and Spencer Cox won, people were calling me like crazy, sending me messages like, how did that happen? Like, what, like, no one wants him to win. Everyone likes Lyman more. What's going on here? And I'd asked all of them. I was like, hey, like, did you vote? And these people ranged from like 22 to 50, like that, literally that big of an age gap. Like, I have friends that are in their 50s and friends that are young 20s. And none of them voted except for one person, my mom. That was it. And people were shocked by the outcome, but I was like, this is the reason. It's because you guys supposedly feel passionately about what's happening, but you're not getting out and speaking up or even voting. And that's when I realized there's something that really needed to change culturally. And we connected about the show like maybe a month later. And I was like, yeah, this is what we need. And you just started telling me like culture's what actually drives society. And like, this is the best change we can make is by getting information in front of people. And that really resonated. And I was like, yes, that is the best way. So that's kind of my background. When I just went through the campaign cycle, did a ton of things wrong on Jason Walton's campaign. I think the majority of things that I actually did weren't even the right things, but we learned a ton of lessons. And now there's things that nobody's doing to win campaigns that actually gets me really excited. And I think the first one is this, having a community where people can be involved and actually connect with one another on their common beliefs.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So Jason Walton kind of woke you up politically then.
Yeah,
like
100%.
made you start paying attention. So, all right. So you brand new kind of waking up to the political world. And it's like, that's like baptism by fire. Then you start running a campaign and you start to see all the political shenanigans. Anything you saw when you were running his campaign that kind of shocked you about, the system and about how politics are run? Like, I kind of like ideas you maybe had of how things were and how politicians were before you got involved versus once you had run an entire campaign.
Oh, so many things. But the thing that concerned me the most was as I'd go to a lot of these events, everyone's connected. When people say the establishment, there's an establishment. There's definitely insiders and outsiders, and everyone knows who's who. Everyone knows what side of the lane everybody's on, which is wild in Utah because supposedly, allegedly, I don't know, everyone's Republicans for the most part, but I just thought you were Republican, right? And that just isn't the case. Like, there's just so many different things and issues that people care about that there's so many lanes within the Republican Party where people disagree that it's almost fracturing. Well, it is fracturing. It's not almost. It is.
Yeah.
And I think that was the most disheartening thing for me is like, if you weren't in the in crowd, the ability to win is extremely difficult. You wish the voice of the people was what mattered, but your voice never even gets to the people if you're not with the in crowd is what it seems. So that was one thing that really, I don't know if it rubbed me the wrong. I mean, it did rub me the wrong way, but I can't tell if it motivated me or disheartened me. I think it was both. Like, I think I was just concerned, and that's what's got me so like wanting to be involved is that fracturing. And like, there's this in crowd, and then like, well, we just need a crowd of people that love America, that love freedom, that love the Constitution, and want to stand up for what's right. And I think people know what that is.
Yeah, I think that was, when I ran for office, that was one of the things that really blew me away because you think these are politicians. These are the political leaders. And so you think these are people who care about the country the most. They understand the Constitution. You typically think they're there for service. And that there's the corrupt, money-hungry, Richmond, north of Richmond, the insider trading guys. But you think that most of the people are these good people. And I think that was one of the things that really blew my mind is, we're watching our country literally, drive off a cliff. I mean, like literally, like people can, like our children cannot even afford homes anymore. Like it is things are getting like the situation of illegals, the dollar, like we're literally on the verge of the Constitution hanging by a thread. And you would think that the people running for office would be people who are like servants, like who the only reason they're there is to fix the country. And instead, what you find is almost everybody there they are there for the wrong reasons. And it's just, to me, that was one thing that's so frustrating. Not everybody, obviously, especially candidates running. You get a lot of good candidates running who are running for the right reasons. But it's like you talk about the establishment, and the establishment's very clear. If you're not going to work with the establishment, you're not going to play. If you're not going to play ball, you're not getting in.
Well, I think you noticed this. Like, you ran for the right reasons. There's, like you said, there's other people that run. And I would like to believe 99% of everybody starts running for the right reasons. And then the establishment, like you're saying, if you're not going to play ball with them, then they'll get you out. And they're good at what they do.
Yeah.
There's a reason the country is in the state that it's in. It's because they're really good at creeping their little fingers into whatever it is. And they get to everybody. Like, that's really the saddest thing, I think, is a lot of people start out with the right intentions, but it's really, and I think there are good people in office, but they justify the things that they do for one reason or another.
Well, yeah. They say, look, if you want to get bills done, this is the way it's done. You got to compromise. You got to do this. And pretty soon you've compromised your way right into, a corrupt politician.
Yeah. And you start seeing the dollars come into your bank account. You're making good money. You're staying in office. People love you. You have the fanfare. You're the guy. And and I think that's addicting and intoxicating to anyone. Like, I'm not going to say I'm above that, but that's definitely what's going on in Washington and in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Like
no, it's here. It's our
that's the
backyard,
shocking
man.
thing is like, I wish it was just there at this point. Before I would have been like, oh, that's happening in our government in the United States of America. No way. But now it's like, this is happening 10 minutes away from where we're currently sitting right now. And that's the thing that really concerns me, and is you can't win any battle nationally if we're losing here at home.
That's right. So, excited to have you. I love that, you literally baptism by fire. You've seen, the insides of the beast here. And you're also can relate to the average, young person who's doesn't really know what's going on, but just sees our country falling apart. So I'd love to have you kind of share with our viewers, our listeners, what do you see as you look at this show, your podcast you're going to be doing? What could the people expect to see? What's your goal?
Well, I really want to hear from you. Like, it's not like I'm looking to go speak to every political figure in Utah. I mean, there will be definitely some guests there that would be really cool to have on, but I want to hear from people who are young, who are passionate about what's going on, and get their perspectives and talk about it in an interesting, good, informative way where we're having good conversations and able to actually connect in a way that's not being done right now with the youth in our current political atmosphere. The other cool thing is I'm pretty well connected with some pretty cool people. We already have some really cool guests lined up who are really exciting. Some athletes, some other people who are really prevalent in Utah culture, and then a few here and there that are pretty prevalent nationally. And I think those guests will definitely be exciting to hear from. But I think what will be shocking are the ones just here at home. Yeah. The youth here who are active, whether it's on social media, whether it's in their day-to-day lives, but who are doing things and excelling. That's really what everyone wants to be around, people who are winning and doing great things. And it'd be great to hear from them.
Yeah. And I think it's cool is there's a lot of awesome leaders, young, football players and athletes and, leaders
entrepreneurs that are young. That's the wild thing. There's so many young people around who are making incredible amounts of money because they're disciplined. They're doing the right thing step by step, but they're young, with tons younger than 30.
And I think one of the things that's going to be exciting for people to see is that there's a lot of these great young people who are patriots, who are fed up, who are saying, you know what, I'm done with that woke stuff, and I don't want to be silenced anymore. And I'm excited to see some of those young, bold leaders stand up and start leading because, this country is starving for leadership. I think that's one of the reasons there's this Trump mania, and it is mania. It's becoming mania. Look, I'm a fan of Trump, but it's excessive. And there's some justified reasons. One, he's been persecuted, and nearly executed or assassinated. So there's a lot of reason for it. But I think the biggest underlying problem is we have failed at the local level. We have failed at the individual level. We have a leadership crisis right now. And so everyone's looking for some savior to come rescue us. And I refuse to fall into that because, look, that's not how freedom works. That when if it takes a leader at the top to fix this a problem at a cultural level, the only way they can fix it is through tyranny, is through taking away people's rights. The only way freedom ever works is from the bottom up. It has to start with the people. And I think as people start to see some of these young leaders start coming on here and saying, you know what, these policies are BS. Them putting boys in women's sports is BS. And I think when we start to see these young people stand up and these young leaders come on here, and I'm looking forward to some of you young guys and girls come on here and say, you know what, we're going back to the values this country is founded on, and we're rejecting this stuff. And I'll tell you, courage breeds courage. And when you see some of these people like you standing up, I'm going to tell you, it doesn't only embolden the other young people, but it emboldens some of the older men and women out there because the fact of the matter is, it is dangerous to tell the truth. It is dangerous to speak truth. And especially when you live in a nation that's become very cowardly and men that are afraid to be bold because they don't want to get canceled. So it takes a level of courage because we can get canceled and you said this. So I'm excited because as these young men and women start to speak up and lead, and I see you really leading that, I think that's the shift this culture needs, especially in Utah, this culture of, oh, we're so, we're not going to say anything. We're going to be nice. And we're not going to call evil evil. We're just going to be these squishy, soft teddy bear Christians. And you know what? Like, enough of that crap.
Well, they want to be in the middle.
Yeah, enough of that crap.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard people like, oh, I'm not left or right. I'm just in the middle.
Yeah,
like, what does that mean?
So weak.
And they're like, I don't know. Like, those guys over there just seem so extreme. And the left, they're obviously crazy too.
Yeah, but
so I'm just a middle person.
Yeah, because the left is not middle. The left is like, we are pushing this down. We're drag queens in your kids' classrooms. We're going to do it until you, and if you dare challenge us, we'll cancel you. The right, you get some people finally starting to say, hey, enough's enough. And then you got these people saying, well, I'm just not going to pick a side. And the problem is, it's like walking down the road in the middle of the lane. You end up getting hit by traffic going both ways. And that's where Utah is. It's like,
well, they don't even realize that. That's where the people are. But our government's definitely way leaning toward. If you look at the stuff in our schools, that's what's got me so concerned. I haven't really looked into this too much, but I saw we were voted like the second best state for education. And I'm like, I know people that work in education.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what metrics are being measured here? Like, if you look at these textbooks, like seeing like the wheel of progress and power, where it literally says if you're a white male that's married and Christian and a European background, you're the most powerful person in the entire universe, and everyone else is what is the right word? They're
oppressed by you. Yeah, you're the oppressor.
Yeah, and it makes them hate you. Mm-hmm. It's like indoctrinating hatred in our schools.
And it makes these kids self-loathe themselves because they don't want to be that white oppressor. And so what do? Well, if you're not the only way to not be a white oppressor is, well, you can't change your skin color, but what you can do is you can change your sexuality. And all of a sudden now, I'm not a cis white male. I'm non-binary. I'm gay. I'm this, and now I'm out of the spotlight for being the bully. Now I'm the victim, and I get to play the victim card. It's
brainwashing.
It is. So let me ask you this. First off, you mentioned you're married. Mm-hmm. Kids yet?
Yeah, I have 2 kids, 2 daughters, a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. So they keep us busy. So it's been fun.
Yeah, I've got 2 girls myself. So I mean, being a dad of girls is
it makes something different out of you, because like feel like I'm definitely like a man's man. Like I do MMA, I work out a lot, and like I like doing the stuff that your typical guy would do. But like I think having girls, it brings out a different side of you. It brings out a different side of you,
softer side,
way more sensitive. And I feel like my ability, and it's only been 2 years. Like I mean, I can't even really speak. Like your kids are way older.
No, it's this. But when you're a dad with little girls, even the baby, it's the same thing. It is. It's very. It brings out that kinder, like if I'm like, I really was bummed I didn't have boys. My wife could only have, she had very complicated pregnancies, and so when we had the second daughter, we knew that was it, and like I cried because I wanted to have a little boy. But honestly, like I know if I had a boy, especially when I was younger, I'd have been a straight like ass of a dad, because I'm like such a like to the line, you know what I mean? And my dad was very, very like hardcore, like belt all the time. So I was like, it's probably better I had girls, and maybe in my older age I can now I've got a grandson, but I'm a softer. It brings up better.
You're not even that old.
I'm an old man, dude.
Really.
You call me granddaddy.
But yeah, like just being in a household of just women, of girls, it's something I'm still learning, and I think I probably always will be, but it's definitely good. So I'm glad you got a grandson though. Like,
yeah, it's awesome.
You're still young enough that you can do all the dad stuff, but you can do the fun stuff. You don't have to worry about as much about being the dad.
Yeah. So I don't want to take too much time, but I do want to hear a little bit. Let's talk 2 things. I want to, when you look across the country on a national level, what is your biggest concern with where we're going? And then I also want to ask you, at a state level, what's your biggest concern with what's happening to Utah? So let's start with national. Your dad, married. How old are you?
31.
31. Okay.
Yeah.
What's as a new father, what is your biggest concern right now about the country?
It's definitely the youth. Like that's like the reason why I want to do this so badly is you start seeing like the trajectory, like schools. Did you see the latest data that comes out on like schooling? Like I guess the smartest people have ever gone to was like 2010, 2011. And since then, you look at all the test scores of people leaving, it's all been a downward spiral. And if you look at people graduating high school, they don't even know how to read. People don't know, like they're so concerned with what's in social media with how they identify themselves. They're not looking to excel. They're not learning those core values. Like if you look at Marcus Aurelius and the Meditations,
love him.
Same values, age-old tenets of humanity have been the same. It's never changed. And like if you look at like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it's like the character ethic versus the personality ethic. Everyone's concerned right now about having a great personality where they can be on social media and people like them and they're fun. But like you said, they have no backbone. Everyone wants to stand in the middle. They're not informed. They're looking at all the clickbaity information and looking at it as if it's fact, where people aren't concerned about having character and really those values that are going to drive a society to success. And we've become weak because things are easy. And that concerns me on a national scale. And hard times are going to come. Like you've heard the saying, right? Like hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. So, and I feel like we're definitely in that spiral.
Oh yeah.
And so to have a chance to speak to people my age and younger and have other people that are living those core tenets and being successful. And those are the successful people on social media too. Like you don't become successful if you're not doing the right things. Yes, there's those overnight successes that pop off, but you don't sustain long-term success unless you're doing a lot of the right things. So that's the nationals thing. Locally.
Well, let's talk about that though real quick. So on the national stuff. So you're seeing the dumbing down of these last several, I guess, last generation or two. Especially the last generation. You said test scores are going down. I mean, and when you have, I mean, it kind of makes sense when you have a math class when you say 2 + 2 can equal 5, and when literally when they're saying there is no wrong answer. When we're saying that hey, if a boy wants to say he's a girl even though when we're saying there is no absolute truth. Whatever someone wants to believe is their reality. Yeah, of course we're going to lose that. And again, I love what you said. The good times have made weak men, and these weak men are about to make hard times. And that's something I see as important what you're doing because, you know, I really believe that the young men, you know, these under 30 guys, I promise hard times like this country and this world has never seen is on the horizon. And it's going to be these young men, you guys, us, they're going to have to get this world and this country and our communities through it. And to me, and especially with what Mike Glover's doing, I see what you guys are doing is starting to build that community of strong men, because I'm going to tell you, when the world changes, when the lights go out, the world will go back to its natural order very quickly. And you know, right now, because we live in such a propped up world where we're so safe, you know, well, men and women are the same, and you know, you hear this, oh, women don't need a man, and that's to a degree, you know, that's not even true to a degree. It's not true at all. But when the lights go out, people will be starving for men who can get them through because nature is a bitch, right? Nature has killed and destroyed humanity. It has always been, you know, killed people, you know, storms, you know, animals. I mean, you know, nature is destructive. And we live in such a sheltered place right now that we don't realize how dangerous it is when the lights go out. But when the lights go out, we need those strong men. And I think what you're doing and what Mike Glover's doing is going to be very crucial to helping these men stand up and become those leaders. So what about the state level?
Well, I wish it was just the youth at the state level, but it's everybody. I think that's the thing that's really the most concerning is how uninformed people are. And I was included. Like, I can't say I'm one of the enlightened people that I was just always getting after it. But like going to these conventions, and what really caught me off guard was like the first Lincoln Day dinner, I think it was, I went to in Richfield. And people had these questions.
Explain what a Lincoln Day dinner is, because most of our listeners probably not sure.
A Lincoln Day dinner is where, when there's an election year, candidates have a chance to get in front of people, answer questions. There's a dinner where they all get a chance to go up and speak in front of everybody. And there's like a time before where there's these booths set up, and regular citizens, you can go to these, they go and have a chance to talk to each of the candidates who are running. And a lot of times sometimes they're at the same time. So the candidate will go to one Lincoln dinner, and then I would be going to other Lincoln dinners and speaking for the candidate and doing things like that. But the first one I went to, fortunately, I mean, there was tons of people there. So people were talking to Jason Walton, and I was there answering other questions. And there were so many questions I had no idea. Like I don't know how he thinks about that. I don't know how I think about that. And I was like, that really caused me to do a lot more research and be involved. And the shocking thing is it's only like 100 people in a community. Like Utah County, you might get 300-400 people there. That's a huge one. I think Utah County is one of the biggest one. But how many people live in Utah County? Like 1 million?
Something like that.
Yeah, maybe more. And so of all those million people, there's like 300 to 400 people involved. That's crazy. That's wild. That's not nearly enough. And so it's one, concerning that people aren't involved. Two, that people have no idea what's going on. And then three, the thing that's concerning is people think they're conservative, and we live in a conservative state, but we live in a Democrat state. We're a blue state. Like, I don't care what anyone says. If you look at how we're taxed in Utah, we're the 11th most taxed state per citizen of any state in the country. So the 10 above us, all blue states. The 8 below us, all blue states. We're a blue state. And like, if you look at a lot of things, like being a sanctuary state, we're like the 4th most welcoming states to illegals. Like, all that kind of stuff just compounds. And you're like, well, wait, is Utah really a Republican state that like believes in freedom and a good economy and all these things? And then I look at how I'm getting taxed in my own business. And that's really like one of the other things that pushed me over the edge is the amount you pay in taxes when you're a business owner is just more goes to the government than even goes in your own pocket most of the time. So, yeah,
you know, there's a quote that says, none are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. And when you talk about taxes, you know, historically, what has always been kind of known is if more than 50% of your labor goes to somebody else, that's considered slavery. And as a business owner, start thinking about adding up as a business owner and as a citizen. You ever thought about how much money you're actually paying when you add it all up?
Yes. I do. That's what gets me really concerned.
Give me a number. What do you think?
It's above 50.
It's above 50%.
For sure is.
And when you think of our founding fathers and the type of men they were, I mean, they were rolling over in their graves, dumping tea in the harbor, and they weren't taxed 10%.
That's what's wild.
And you think what a bunch of pansies we've become. You know what I mean? That we've gone from thinking, you know, the type of men who said, oh, hell no, you're going to do that to me, to now they're these descendants that have become so weak and the government's become so strong. And we are literally worse off than our founding fathers. I mean, we literally live in a system they revolted against, and we're paying, many of us, over 50% in our taxes, and yet we just take it.
And the thing that's worse is
take it.
When people are like, you can get a better accountant, I'm like, oh, if only you knew all the write-offs and all the accounting that you sit down and spend hours and hours doing. Well, that's what I think is like the biggest thing is like, hey, we're not going to tell you how much to pay in taxes. You try to figure it out. And if you pay too little, that's okay. I mean, if you pay too much, that's okay. Yeah. If you pay too little, though,
we're on you. 56,000 new IRS agents that we're weaponizing to come after you.
And that's it's just so wild. And it just is like, yeah, I have the best tax people. I have like, you go name a good tax person. Like, I'm doing all the tips and tricks, and I'm still paying the taxes that I pay. And it's like, yeah, and people are like, oh, well, you're making so much money. It's like, well, if you saw what I took home compared to what I paid, you'd be like,
that's wrong.
It is wrong.
It's theft.
So I think that's all those things combined on the state level is we really need people to wake up. And we were having a conversation where I'm talking about like all these great people that can be candidates and helping them run and all this stuff. And you're like, Trey, hold up a second. And I was like, wait, like what? And you're like, you could have the best candidate in the world run, but if people aren't ready to receive that person and the message isn't there, then it doesn't matter. They're going to lose anyways, which is what we just saw this last election. Like, it doesn't matter. There could have been a better candidate than the last people that ran by tenfold, and they still would have lost. And I have the polling numbers to show it. Like, I agree completely. So I think this network what you're doing, what you're
What
going out and fighting
what we
for,
are doing.
I'm just grateful to be a part of it, to have a seat here at the literal and figurative table, because it's the only way, it's the best way to help change the current stride of our state. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, we are, we're pumped. I hope our viewers are pumped and are going to support him. Yeah. So to our listeners, we are investing a lot, to make this happen. All of us, all the different show hosts, nobody's getting paid. Everybody's coming together and volunteering. We're out trying to raise money to cover the cost of the studio and cost of the billboards and the advertising. But we are absolutely serious, and I hope you're impressed with Trey. I hope you're going to support him by not only, by obviously subscribing to the channel, but going and particularly liking his videos, sharing his videos. We're going to be investing money in getting that out to the mainstream, because what we found is a lot of the channels, a lot of YouTube and this platforms are censoring and shadow banning us. So it forces us to get this out to pay for that. You can obviously support us and Trey by going to the website, making donations, buying shirts. You can also support Trey by going to mecca.fitness. That's MEKA.fitness, and getting a meal plan. Excuse me. But this is not, we are not corporate media. We want nothing to do with them. We are fighting against the establishment. And the only way we can do that is with you. And to those of you who have been so generous, I got to just tell you, I've had some incredible people, who are not super wealthy. I know that. Be very generous in donating to what we're doing. And those of you who've done that, I just think of the widow's mite, and I say, just God bless you guys. God bless you guys for standing up and making it possible for us to stand and fight. Because, when you hear us, you see us, but what you don't see is all the people behind the camera, who are fighting for us, praying for us, supporting us, and making this come together. Because this is not us. This is us. This is the people. This is we the people. And that's why I want to thank you guys for what you're doing. And Trey, let's freaking rock and roll, dude. Let's make a difference here. And I'm glad to have you.
Let's do it. Thanks, brother. Thanks, everybody.
All right. So you'll be able to see Trey every week, every Thursday. Tune in. You'll be able to see his show and support him, share it, and let's take this state back by winning the culture. God bless you guys.